What many people don't know is that they can use stress to their advantage. I think there's a lot of negative association with the word stress, and people oftentimes even talk about stress-free life or removing completely stress from your life. And I honestly don't think that you can totally remove stress from your life. I think stress is actually a really, really normal part of your life. And the good news is that you can use stress to your advantage. So in today's video, I want to talk with you about how you can manage stress at work effectively, because I know that you are really struggling sometimes with managing stress at work. So in today's video, I want to give you 7 steps on how you can really set yourself up for success at work and manage your stress levels regularly to sustain your performance over time. So let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Arndt, and I'm a peak performance coach and stress management trainer. And I'm really excited that you're watching this video today. I actually realized that I don't have one single video on my YouTube channel of like 200, 300, 400 videos that I have recorded for you over the last 2.5 years with the title, How to Manage Stress at Work. I have had specific videos on how to manage stress at work during holiday season, how to manage stress at work during COVID, but I don't really have a very generic video on how to manage stress at work. And it's super important to talk about this. So in today's video, we're going to talk about 7 specific steps on that I believe are the most important factors in your life in order to be a superstar at managing stress. And careful here, I am not telling you that you can cure your stress. I'm not telling you that you can have a stress-free life, because stress is just part of our DNA. Because when you wake up in the morning, very naturally, your stress hormones are releasing in your bodies in order to help you to be productive and performant throughout the day. Obviously, adrenaline and cortisol are the 2 stress hormones, and you have them naturally in your body. The problem though is that way too many people don't know how to manage their stress levels. They don't know why it is important to manage their stress levels, and they don't really know how to do it either, and maybe how often, I guess, even as well. So we're going to talk about all of these different things in today's video, and I would say let's jump right into the first tip that I have for you today. The first thing that I want you to start thinking about when you want to manage stress at work is to have a really strong morning routine that does not include waking up in the morning, rolling over to your bedside table and taking your phone in your hand in order to check your work emails. This is a super bad habit that many of us have started to do. I have done that for many years, and one of my biggest realization was that I would be super anxious right when I got up out of bed. I wasn't even out of bed yet, and I already feel stressed and anxious because I saw all of the emails that had been accumulating over the period of the night, because I was working in a global team. And so it's really important that you are starting your day for yourself. You need to have a routine for yourself before you're getting into your work routine. So that can include obviously getting out of bed, doing some exercise, stretching, running. It could be that you're taking a shower in the morning. It could be that you're drinking a cup of coffee. All of these different things are great ways to start your morning. But please make sure that you are creating some mental space for yourself before you're starting to dive into work. So tip number 1, make sure that you have a really clear morning routine that does not involve any kinds of things related to work. Don't check your emails, don't talk to your colleagues, don't do any other tasks that evolve around your work, because you have another 8 or 9 hours in the day where you can do exactly that. And that brings me to tip number 2. I think it is really important in order to manage your stress levels to be really clear on what you need to get done throughout the day. So the first thing that you should do when you do start to sit down for work is to plan your day and your time. How are you going to spend your workday? Don't just sit down and be ready for the first meeting. Make sure that you create some space for yourself to know, okay, what do I actually need to get done today? What do I need to do in order to feel accomplished at the end of the day? And also in order to protect your time and set boundaries when people want to have your time and you actually don't have time, okay? So sit down for a few minutes. Like I said, it doesn't have to be much, but even just 5 minutes of like focused, okay, what am I going to do today kind of a thing will really help you to be so much more productive throughout the day, and obviously also manage your stress levels. Because if you are pulled in all of these different directions and you're not really clear on what it is that you need to get done in order to feel good about yourself, then obviously it is so much easier to just jump into this reactive mode, and then maybe even at the end of the day realize that you haven't done anything for your work or for yourself. So that is really why I really highly encourage you to plan your day and your time. Tip number 3. I'm sure that many of you have heard about this before, but eat the frog first is a really popular saying, which means focus on the first most important task early in the morning, because usually your performance levels and your energy levels are the highest in the morning, except if you are a PM shifted person, which means that you're super focused in the evening. And that is something that can be super helpful to know as well about yourself. So first of all, I guess, know when is your most productive time. And then number 2, eat that frog as soon as you hit that peak performance hour, because we are usually just spending energy throughout the day, right? So usually for most of us, I would say for 80% of the population, our most productive hours are between 6 and 10 a.m. And so make sure that you are really focusing that time on the things that you need to get done, instead of just being in your inbox, for example, or being in meetings that are not super important, or you are maybe spending your time on catch-ups. Maybe not your best time investment. It is 10:18 right here, right now, and I'm sitting in front of the camera because of exactly that reason, because I know that I am most productive and most focused in the morning in order to sit in front of the camera and do this video, and also because the light is the best here in my office at 10 o'clock in the morning as well. But it is really helpful to know, first of all, when is your peak performance hour? You can also do a test on chronotype.com. I will link it in the show notes below in order to find out if you are an AM shifted, a biphasic, or a PM shifted person. And then based on that insight, you can basically manage your time and your day better. And then make sure that you are finding a balance between focusing on the most important tasks that you have set out to do for that day, with obviously the things that give you quick dopamine rushes because you are feeling accomplished by sending out an email or responding to a question that your colleague has for you, or even jumping on a call or a meeting. Yes, it is not so easy, obviously, to really balance that. But if you want to learn more about this, I just did a video on that specifically as well. So if you want to learn more about it, make sure to check out this video here, which is really about how to develop the next workplace superpower and manage your energy throughout the day. And that brings me to tip number 4. Tip number 4, super simple. We've heard it many times before, but we don't do it enough. It is super important that you take breaks and that you are regularly disconnecting from work as well in order to manage your stress levels. What many people don't know is that it doesn't really matter how long that break is, as long as you fully disconnect. So oftentimes when we hear about you need to take a break, we think, but I don't really have an hour right now to take a break. And it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It sometimes doesn't even have to be 15 minutes. Breaks can be super small, as long as they are super mindful and they are really making sure that you are disconnecting from all of the devices that you have, and to really reconnect with yourself. So if you are having a super stressful day, all you can do, for example, in between meetings, because maybe you even have just 5 minutes in between meetings, is to close your eyes, because it removes 80% of all of the things that are coming your way. So it can really be super helpful to do that. And then take a deep breath. Make sure that you are reconnecting with your system. We are obviously oftentimes taking our system, our body completely for granted, but they're doing a lot of things throughout the day. Our bodies are like superstars. And so in order to really help them and support them, in order to manage those stress levels that we are accumulating throughout the day by just performing all these different tasks, is to give them some space. And so it could be, like I said, by literally closing your eyes, taking a few mindful deep breaths. What I also really like to do is to just literally step outside for 2 minutes when I don't have a lot of time in the day to do that. It's just, sometimes it's really these little things. Open your window, make sure that you are just breathing in some fresh air, because we are usually sitting in front of our computer all day long. Get up, stand up, right? Move your body around. All of these different things are considered taking breaks. Obviously, make sure that you're drinking enough water as well. Don't just drink coffee. I just had a coffee yesterday after many months of really not drinking a lot of caffeine. I usually drink decaf, and I had one coffee in the morning yesterday and I felt super anxious for the rest of the day. I think I'm going to make a video about this as well, because it was really shocking. So be mindful of how much coffee you're drinking, because it is just a stimulant and you are kind of ignoring the signal then that your body actually needs a little bit of time to rest. And like I said, if you feel like you don't have enough time in the day to take a break, well then that's exactly when you need to take a break, because your body is probably completely overloaded with stress hormones. Tip number 5 to manage your stress at work: be present. Something super simple as well to say, and yet sometimes so hard to do, is to really be in the present moment. We are building anxiety and we are getting really worried and tense when we are thinking about past events or future events. As hard as it is sometimes, it is really important that you're staying in the present moment. If something happened at work that really bothered you, that really stressed you, or that really frustrated you, or that made you feel really angry, it's already in the past. It has already happened and you cannot change that situation anymore. The only thing that you can change right now is how you're going to respond to it. So if something has really bothered you, then take a moment to sit with it. Take a moment to write about it. Take a moment to talk with somebody about it, but then let it go. Because, we are oftentimes spending so much energy throughout our day worrying about past events and future events, and we are completely missing the present moment, which is the only moment, obviously, that counts. So stay present and be really clear that you need to work and you need to conserve your energy, and that the best way to do that is by staying in the present moment. Number 6 is a super important tip for all of you that do not ever find the end of the day. It is to have a really strict end of day hour or half hour. I think it's really important that you are setting a boundary with yourself on how long you're going to work. No matter if it is 5 p.m., 6 p.m., maybe 7 p.m., that's already really late, but I want you to be really mindful how long you're going to work. Again, this is really helpful for your stress levels, because at the beginning of the day, as I told you earlier, you set out a really clear plan of how to manage your day and your time. And now, towards the end of the day, you also need to be really clear with yourself on how long you're going to work. Don't just have all of that work spill into the evening hours. It is not going to be helpful for you. And you're not going to be performant for 24/7, right? For 24 hours in a day. Nobody is. And even if you're trying to force yourself, even though you're trying to really push your boundaries, it might work for a day or 2 or 3 days, but then your body is going to try to take that energy back, because you cannot sustain that level of performance throughout years, okay? I have some really cool clients that basically have this really cool end of work day routine, where the last 30 minutes of their specific work day hour, they are spending sitting down, closing obviously everything out, right? Closing their inbox, closing their calendar, and then they take 30 minutes to be really mindful about how am I going to spend my next day. So if you feel like you're not feeling really accomplished yet, then just sit down and write down all of the things that you did take care of today and take a moment to be proud of yourself. It's almost like writing a reversed to-do list where you're writing down all of the things that you actually did in order to be like, oh, okay, I actually did do many things today, and I can cut myself some slack now and take some time to rest. So take the last 30 minutes, for example, of your workday to write down what you've done, maybe plan out your next day if you prefer to do that, and then you can even just take 15 minutes to journal all of the other thoughts that are maybe floating around in your head about all of the situations that happened throughout the day at work that maybe left you angry or frustrated or stressed, etc., etc. Okay? Because that really helps to kind of close out the day and focus then your time and energy on yourself and hopefully on your family or your friends or your partner. And yeah, and just like take time for yourself, obviously, to recharge, because that's super important when we are talking about managing your stress. So that's one of my favorites. I hope you will try it out and you will test out to have this really specific end of day work routine. And finally, tip number 7, practice self-care. So now that you hopefully finished work at the end of the day, I want you to really be mindful of how are you going to spend the last few hours of your day. It is so important that you're doing something to recharge yourself, right? And that can be in so many different ways and things, because all of us are different and all of us prefer to do different things in our lives in order to recharge ourselves. I, for example, love to go outside in nature. I have a dog, so I like to walk him, obviously, and I have to walk him. He's not really going to let me not walk him, but I really like to, like I said, I like to go outside, I like to exercise, I like to meet friends, hang out, sometimes journal, depending on how the mood is of my day. There are so many different things that you can do, but it's so powerful to be mindful of, to kind of checking that box and saying, yes, I did some self-care today and I'm feeling good about myself. So plan that. Be mindful of how you are spending the rest of your day. Because ultimately the question is, do you live to work or do you work to live? And I really hope it's the latter. I really hope that you work to live. And sometimes we forget about that. When we are feeling super stressed at work, then we just, we think that this is the most important thing in our lives and our priorities shift and we forget about our values and the things that are super important for us. And it's happened to all of us. The most important thing is to create awareness around it and to get back to ourselves. And I really believe that happens by reflecting on how we're spending our time. So if you are at the end of this video and you still feel like you need more tips on how to manage stress at work, if you're currently feeling super overwhelmed or anxious, I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel about exactly these topics. So make sure to check out this video and this video. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. So if you have any questions for me, or if you would like to comment down below what you do in order to manage your stress at work, I would love to hear from you. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and I really hope to see you in the next one.